And you know why this is going to get so much worse, so much quicker? Here is the main economic reason why this is going to happen. Breaking: the Houthis just announced total closure of the Red Sea. No ships, no passage, no exceptions. Iran strikes Israel. Houthis lock the gate. The global supply chain just hit a wall, and the world is about to feel what war really costs. Colin, if you will. Oh, wait, I need to do it. I have to pull it up because you are on short supply with Financial Times. So I have to pull up the article that will explain this in greater detail. If those who are questioning why this is not going to end well, and I don't believe it will. I believe that while in the interim, things are not going to go well, or they will not go well for Iran, they probably will go well for Israel. However, it's only temporary. These circumstances are but merely an impasse to what is really going to happen here. This, in my humble opinion, is the bigger story right here. Insurers, let me get this little thingy out of my way. I appreciate your reporting, but I will not be giving you money. The internet gives you money. Our channel thanks you for your contribution. Financial Times: insurers to cancel policies and raise prices for ships in Gulf and Strait of Hormuz. Brokers say costs to cover increase by as much as 50% after conflict erupts. If anybody is not familiar with what the Strait of Hormuz is and how much global commerce passes through that strait, believe me when I tell you, this is going to get ugly. Ships are already being redirected. Costs are going to go up no matter what. How much worse this gets is going to be a really interesting question. Insurers told ship owners on Saturday they would cancel policies and raise coverage prices for vessels traveling through the Gulf and Strait of Hormuz after the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. Remember, Israel has the right to defend itself. War risk insurers on Saturday submitted cancellation notices for policies covering ships moving through the key oil choke point. Brokers told the Financial Times, with prices set to rise as much as 50% in the coming days. The unusual move to submit these notices before trading resumes on Monday underscores the pace of escalation after Iran launched retaliatory strikes against U.S. bases across the Middle East. Insurance prices for ships traveling through the Gulf had been about 0.25% or 0.25% of the replacement cost of a vessel. They could now jump by as much as a half. Dylan Mortimer, Marine Hull UK war leader at Broker Marsh, told the Financial Times. For a 100 million vessel, this would mean an increase from $250,000 to $375,000 per voyage. Insurance costs for ships calling at Israeli ports, which have been at about 0.1% of the cost of a vessel prior to recent strikes, could also surge as much as 50%, as underwriters brace for retaliatory action by Iran. The greatest concern among underwriters was whether Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz. Insurers were also pricing in expectations that Iran proxies may attempt to board and seize vessels. If Israel and U.S. are continuing to strike Iran, which they will, it's more likely that Iran will start trying to leverage their control via the manipulation of shipping in the region. Cargo war risk insurers, which cover commodities carried on tankers, such as grain and oil, also said that they were preparing to cancel policies on Monday. After canceling policies, insurers were expected to renegotiate coverage at higher prices rather than denying coverage for ships sailing into the region. If they cancel the policies and any of those ships go down, that is hundreds of millions of dollars every single time one doesn't make it through. Some ship owners are also turning away from the Strait of Hormuz, through which about a fifth of the world's crude oil flows. On Saturday, at least 3 ships turned away from the strait rather than pass through it. as ship owners assess the risk of being attacked in a narrow waterway. EOS Risk, an advisory firm, also said that some ships have received what appeared to be a radio warning from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps that the strait was now closed for shipping. And there you go. So that's what we have. We are now faced with a situation where if you think there is not going to be economic consequences to what's going on, you now know for a fact it's coming because they've shut off that strait and there's going to be many other things that they're going to do. So what's going to happen next when American soldiers are forced to go there and die for Israel? There is somebody who wants you to die for Israel, and he's dying to tell you how important it is that you do.
They must destroy civilization. They believe today that they must destroy the West. Most prominently, the United States of America. Those nuclear ICBMs aren't aimed for Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. They're aimed for New York and Los Angeles and Chicago.
And where did we hear that wonderful language the other day? Who was talking like that the other day? Oh, that's right. Satan Yahoo Milikowski said the exact same words. It's almost as if they are part of Hasbara and get the same talking points. And Mark Levin is no different, but he wants you to go and die for his ability to sleep soundly at night because somehow Iran is coming to attack us. Oh, we're going to get to little Ben Shapiro later on this evening. We're just getting started, folks. Mark Levin, who looks like a troll, but he's actually over 6 feet tall, surprisingly. But he's one hell of a little pesky bitch who just can't go away. As much as we want to lance him off like a boil, we just can't seem to get it done. And so, unfortunately, for our sake, we have to deal with this fuckhead that people somehow are still listening to. He's going to get your grandkids killed, ladies and gentlemen, if you're for those that are still alive watching Fox News. But yes, this is what was expected, and this is what's happening because our government has been captured by this Zionist entity. That's why, under normal circumstances to the average American like you and I, we listen to somebody like Mark Levin and want to vomit a little in our mouths. But for some odd reason, when it comes to actual government policy, people are listening to him. Or he's sharing the very talking points that people are listening to. That's why we have to take back our country. He's got more to say.
Everywhere in between and around the United States of America. They're working closely with the Communist Chinese, Putin, and North Korea. And we are on the precipice, I believe, of finally addressing this so that we can have peace and security and prosperity. We haven't bothered that regime.
You haven't bothered that regime. You've been kicking that hornet's nest for almost 50 years. The reason you don't like them is because they don't want to do business with Zio Jews like you, particularly the Rothschilds. One of the only nations left on the planet that doesn't have a Rothschilds bank. I wonder why. I wonder why they attack Cuba. I wonder why they want to go after China. See, China's a little too big and powerful. But for whatever reason, this is the type of person of all the people that is being listened to. They're listening to him. This fat bastard of a troll is the person that people are listening to, who's blind, bald, deaf, and dumb. They appointed the village idiot, but because he's a Zionist Jew, some reason he is granted immunity from any criticism amongst that class. Forever the victim. Did you notice how all of them are hiding underground? But meanwhile, Satan Yahoo, he's in Berlin. I'm telling you, the jokes write themselves. Of all the places in the world that he could flee Israel, he goes to Berlin. They're Nazis. And this jelly donut's a Nazi too.
That regime has been kidnapping, slaughtering, maiming Americans since day one.
Yeah.
It seeks a nuclear weapon to destroy us.
Oh, really?
Any terrorist group that runs a country that murders 50,000 of its own people and would murder 1 million of its own.
You know, this is the part of the story that I find the most interesting. And I got to tell you, it started with 32,000. Wait, no, how many was it initially, guys? It was 10,000. Then it went to 20. Then it's 32,000. Then it's 40,000. Now it's 50,000 people have been killed because they were protesting the Ayatollah, and they just had to kill him. But you know what I have found the most interesting about this bullshit of a story? We never seem to get video footage of any of the supposed protester victims. I mean, seriously, 3 million have been killed in 2 days. What are we to do? Yet when we talk about actual, tangible evidence that as many as 750,000 Palestinians have been mass murdered over the past 2 years, we're all crazy. All of us, even though The Lancet, which is one of the most reputable publications in the world, says at a minimum, you're looking at 500,000, and at a reasonable amount, you're looking at 750,000 are dead. And that's not to even identify how many more will die as a result of malnutrition, among other things. The diseases, the cancers, all of it coming. When we talk about what real privilege looks like, that's it. Mr. Levin, Mr. Privilege, Mr. I am a Zionist Jew, and I don't care how many people decide that they're going to just attack Jews in general because I am living high on the hog. And that's really what it's about. They're living high on the hog. And you know what I also noticed today, guys, as I'm sure many of you have? You notice how a lot of accounts that never really get too much traction, but now all of a sudden they're getting a lot of likes, a lot of, reasonable amount of comments. Boy, I tell you, those pro-war bots, they are out in full force. And Israel pays a hell of a lot of money for Hasbara propaganda. That's a big part of what they do. Let's finish this one out, and then I'll explain why this matters.
People will have no hesitation about firing nuclear warheads against us.
I thought they don't have nuclear warheads, but apparently they do. And saying that they are this close to getting a nuclear warhead, let's go back to the person who has fled his people because things got a little hairy. Remember, Iran is just a moment's notice away from getting that nuke.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Once Saddam has nuclear weapons, the terror network will have nuclear weapons. Next thing you'll see is a nuclear bomb in the World Trade Center. If you take out Saddam...
Ooh. Did you catch that one? Because I did. Let's play it one more time.
Nuclear weapons. Next thing you'll see is a nuclear bomb in the World Trade Center.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am very suspicious of a person who suggests that bombs in the World Trade Center would have any relevance prior to 9/11. But as you can imagine, this is what happens when you allow this genocidal nation to take over our country. Netanyahu is very irresponsible in his language when it comes to letting the cat out of the bag. Did he just admit that Israel was a part of 9/11? Because remember, anytime they are talking about what some other country's going to do, which they never have, it's always Israel. It always will be Israel until Israel is no more. Like I said, Shail would never admit that he's a Zionist, but underneath it all, he probably still is. And even he admits that Israel's not long for this world. Now, whatever the reasoning is, I just want to make sure that when Israel falls to its inevitable death, that they don't drag us straight to hell with them. That's my concern. And so right now, we're faced with that very real prospect. of what's coming next. Iran's not going to back away. They're not just going to let them run roughshod over them. And what we can do here at home is BDS. What we can do here at home is figure out a way to stop using the US dollar. And there are ways to do it. Let's finish this up.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
They've been saying it forever and a day, and they're not going to stop saying it unless we take the means of control of the means of production in our government. That is the only way that this is happening. And you know what else is happening today, ladies and gentlemen? While the bombs are raining down and innocent children are being mass murdered in Tehran, these are the Zio scumbags doing a little rain dance underground. And here's one thing I also want to remind people of. I don't care what they do. I don't care that they're goofy, inbred, narcissistic animals that are called humans, even though I don't regard them as much. I just don't want them to have anything to do with our country. I want to lance them off like a boil, as Jen says. Let them go into the dustbin of history, which is where they belong. And if they want to do their little dances at the expense of dead children or dead cats and dogs, like we pointed out the other day, that's fine. They can do that. That's their business. Don't make it our business. You're so damn tough. You're so damn powerful. Survive on your own. They have control now. Right now. They have control now. But they won't forever. And when the inevitable boomerang comes back in their direction, they're going to have nowhere to go. No one wants to deal with them. I didn't want to get into it with Shaul about, well, Israel's making deals with Greece. What he really meant was Cyprus. No, what they're doing is they're going to overrun their country. And they're making a deal with Pakistan. Pakistan hates Israel. So, I mean, again, you want to say that India, but India, again, you're talking about Modi. You're talking about a corrupt son of a bitch in a government that, on the one hand, is playing another side of the economic game, which is, again, India was always going to be partial to the West because they're in what you would call an economic arms race with China. So naturally, they're going to go to the other side. But when it comes to these fucking people, these fucking animals, I don't want anything to do with them. I never wanted anything to do with them. And now that they are in a position where they're going to start getting our people killed, at what point have we had enough? At what point do the American people rise up and say, to hell with Israel and to hell with their people? And if they're here, as far as I'm concerned, you are an enemy of this country. If you support Israel and you live in the United States, you are a sworn enemy, as far as I'm concerned, of the United States. Period. And everyone should be treated as such. If you know somebody who supports Israel, hear me now, quote me later. Tribunals for every last one of them. Why don't you show your face? I show my face. My name is Peter Hager. I live in Niceville, Florida. Who in the fuck are you, you cocksucker? You're nobody. You're just another Hasbro bitch who wouldn't last 5 fucking seconds in a real fight. Because I'd fucking tear your head off. And I would do it with a smile. Every last one of you. Mark my words. Your day of reckoning will come. It's not coming today. It may not come tomorrow, but it's coming.